Hi everyone, it's Meghna, and today we're going to be talking about 6 things that I wish I knew before I started my first job. This video is for college students who are about to start their first summer internship. It's for new graduates who are about to start their first job. And it's just for anyone in general who's starting their first job or starting a new job. These are tips that hopefully will help you in being successful in your first job. So a little bit about me and why you may consider taking advice from me. So I graduated from a top business undergraduate program. I studied finance and international business, and I graduated about 6 years ago. And since then, I've had I would say, fairly successful career. I worked in finance for the first few years, and I've since started working in management consulting. And looking back at my career so far, I was just thinking about a couple things that I wish I had known, things that you might not necessarily learn in college, in your undergraduate business program, or just in your classes in general, that could be helpful in helping you become successful in your career. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing on my list is to bring a notebook with you wherever you go. So when you start your first job, you never know when you're walking into an informal training session. Now, of course, you will have those meetings on your calendar where maybe HR takes all the new hires and you go into a conference room and they explain to you how to apply for benefits. Or maybe your manager calls you into his office and he explains to you how a certain program works or how an application works. In those situations, obviously, you should be bringing a notebook. On the other hand, you may be at a coworker's desk just chatting, and maybe they get a phone call. Or a coworker might call you over to their desk for a training session, but you might not realize that that's why they called you over. Not only will this help you when in the future you need to replicate this task, but it also makes you appear to that coworker or that team member that you're interested in what they're talking about, you're excited to learn, you're engaged in the conversation. So they'll feel more comfortable next time that they ask you to work on this project or generate this report. They will have more trust in you that you're capable of completing this task for them. Just make sure you have something with you to write on no matter where you're going. The second thing on my list is to stay organized from day one. Now, when you first start your job and for the first couple weeks, maybe even months, things will be a little slower because you're still learning, you're still picking up on new things. But as time goes on, you'll get more and more busy. And once you get busier, it's harder to stay organized. So I would recommend that as soon as you can, start organizing yourself, whether that means organizing your email folders, or it can mean organizing your documents physically and on the computer. Even your calendar, that's always very important because your coworkers may use your calendar to see when you're available and then set up meetings that way. And now you may be thinking, I'm only 1 week into my new job. How do I even know how to organize myself? You can always change your technique later on, but if you stay organized from day one, you will definitely benefit from it in the future when you just don't have time to organize your emails, you just don't have the bandwidth to think about what's the best way of organization. Future you will be very grateful. The next item on my list goes hand in hand with staying organized, and that is to keep track of what you're working on a regular basis. So once you're 1 year or more into your job, you will have a performance review with your manager. And usually before this review, they ask you to fill out a form, fill out a document where you talk about what you've worked on, areas of strengths, areas of weaknesses. And this can be kind of difficult. After you've been working for about a year or more, you may have forgotten what you worked on, or you kind of remember, but you don't remember the exact details. And so that's why it's really important to start jotting those down while you're working on them and while it's still fresh in your mind. So you could do this on either Word or Excel, and it can be just simple bullets, short phrases. Doesn't have to be anything complicated, but maybe just create a recurring calendar reminder every Friday at, let's say, 4 p.m., just before you're about to log off for the week, to quickly open up your document and jot down what you worked on that week. It can be the projects that you've been involved in. It can be maybe some words of praise that you receive from your client, from your boss, from your teammates. That's something that you will want to bring up during your annual review. And also, do not forget to talk about the work that you're doing outside of your project. Maybe you are helping organize the monthly team meetings. Maybe you're helping out with recruiting. There's always something you're doing on the side that isn't directly impacting your project, but it is helping your team grow, helping the firm grow, and you want to make sure that it's something that you talk about on your performance review. My next item is to ask your stupid questions now. So people say that there's no such thing as a stupid question. I'm a little bit skeptical about that phrase. When you first start your new job, you're going to be hearing new acronyms, you're going to be hearing about new applications and projects, and frankly, it's going to sound like a foreign language to you. As I mentioned earlier with the notebook advice, if you ask the questions, you look like you're engaged in the conversation, you look like you're interested, and your team will definitely notice that. Same with acronyms. So your team will use a lot of acronyms because it's just faster, it's just easier, and sometimes they don't even know what the acronyms stand for. But you may want to know what it stands for because it'll help you better understand what's going on. If you ask a teammate what does it stand for, not only are you going to learn, but you may help them learn what it means too. Final words of advice: if you have a question and you think it's stupid, don't wait, ask it now. Number 5 on the list is do not procrastinate. Now, this is something that I've experienced when working with new graduates. And I understand, I was in college too. And I know that the culture in college is that many students pull all-nighters, and it's not that uncommon to send your part of the project just a few hours before it's due. However, your coworkers may not like that. Your team may include parents, they may include athletes, they may include people who have other responsibilities outside of work. And they don't want you to wait until the final moment to send over your part of the project, because they probably want to look it over themselves before it goes to the client or before it goes to the manager. It just makes your whole team look bad. It does not look good, and just do not do that. So now we're on to the 6th and final piece of advice that I wanted to give you. Now, I could have made my video shorter and just provided 5 tips, but this 6th one is really important, and that is to freshen up on your Excel skills before you start your new job. From my experience, managers and senior project leads are really impressed when someone has strong Excel skills. It's a really good way to be indispensable to your team. Now, having strong Excel skills is not just knowing those Excel formulas, although there are a lot of good ones out there, and I'll list a few here. VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, index match, SUMIF, COUNTIF, and pivot tables. But being good at Excel is more than just knowing those Excel formulas. It's also about having those formatting and presentation skills. You want to be able to create easy-to-read tables and graphs. You want to know how to create tabs and maybe add buttons that'll allow you to easily toggle between the tabs. And finally, removing grid lines is a small thing that just really enhances your spreadsheet's presentation. So those are my 6 tips for how to be successful in your first job or internship. I hope that was helpful for everyone, and if you have any questions, if you want to discuss any of those items, or if you just need some advice, I'd be happy to help, and I'm excited to hear from you guys. Thank you. Bye.